Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for July 4th through 8th, 2022. Well, happy 4th of July and to America and all who are participating in the grand dream of what it is we're here to do and create and co-create in this Earth experience. Massive changes happening energetically to some people, it seems like. And this, what we're feeling right now in the last couple of days, it's been Mars square Pluto. And Mars square Pluto, Pluto in Capricorn, Mars in his home sign of Aries, coming to those end degrees. It's a huge culmination of energy, especially after that Jupiter Mars conjunction in Aries, landing, initiating a new timeline. And now we're seeing all these steps to try to catch up or rearrange or deal with this, because what I'm seeing is that this new timeline is very far from where we are. And it's almost like, oh, over there. But then what's required to get there is convoluted, confusing, and requires a leap and a letting go. And it's so beautiful on some level. We've been waiting and waiting for this energy, but it's triggering a lot of anxiety. And Mars coming to those end degrees of Aries is Mars wants freedom. And what a powerful transit on this celebration of independence. As we all try to claim our independence and our sovereignty. So the Pluto and Capricorn definitely speaks to where we've given away our power in the past. And Mars is like, can't do it anymore. And so there's a lot of grief coming up because the sun is now in Cancer, and it's starting to move these emotions up to this point. The recent energy astrologically has been like frustration and movement and energy and come on and more on the masculine signs. And we're having a big shift because Mercury and Mars are moving over into the next sign. They're both at home, now moving to the next sign, which is feminine signs. So it's going to be an opportunity to adjust and work through and process this new opportunity that we might not see as an opportunity or understand what's really happening. But there is, the picture that I'm seeing is on one hand like a very jagged trail, and it's like you have to catch it, like as it comes close in orbit, this timeline, So there's this feeling, of course, with Aries, you're always going to have this like urgency energy. So there's this urgency to like grab a hold of this opportunity, But we have to remind ourselves that nothing can stop what's coming. This change is happening regardless. We don't get a choice, supernova souls. And so we might as well surrender to this journey. And so it's almost like these timelines, a picture I'm seeing is them being plucked by these energies and like moving, right? Where we were really stagnant for the last few years. And actually almost for the last 8 to 10 years, we've had just this kind of quarantine energy going on energetically, where it's like we couldn't progress and from where we were, even though we could see and feel that there was something, but then we were like constantly being gaslit by this world saying, oh no, you can't, there's nothing else out there, like there's nothing more in you, there's just put up and shut up and be happy like the rest of us. What is your problem? And so now that these energies are changing, it's like a huge validation for supernova souls. But also, you can't really move into these activating energies without encountering some level of anxiety and fear, because we've been programmed not to raise our vibration, not to come into our Kundalini energy, not to activate into our higher power. So much has gone into keeping us. You would not believe how much has gone into for thousands of years and a lot in this recent period of time technologically, try to keep us from coming into this bigger potential. All humanity has this, but supernova souls have already experienced it. That's why we're being asked to take this leap before. So we've got that Mars square Pluto, frustrations on the rise of like, you want freedom, you want your life the way you want it, you want to live your truth, and you've been living everybody else's lie for so long, and it's just this absolute frustration. So everything on all levels of our life, of that Pluto and Capricorn, that is not in alignment with our greater spiritual truth and this co-creation process and activation we're moving into, it's exposing itself and it's being shown, and it's hard to look at. It's like I can just feel all of this pent up emotion that hasn't been able to move. It's like as soon as things start to move, then you have to kind of, while you're stagnant, you're just stagnant. When things start to move, then you've got to address the grief of why you haven't been moving. And so, but just layers and layers of powerful grief, because there's no way you can take this leap and not let something go. And of course, this is ultimately our ego construct of who we thought we were and what we thought we were doing here. And so it's a really hugely challenging time on that level. This is just for the next couple of days, though. But on top of that Mars square Pluto, of this pressure and tension, it's like it wants to break. Pluto's the destroyer, but it doesn't destroy just to destroy. It destroys what's not in alignment with what's coming. Pluto is about the future. It's about an unknown energy that we don't quite understand, which is exactly our power. So it rules our fear of our own power. And in Capricorn, it's everywhere we agree to everybody around us, and organizations and countries and who knows what other galactic contracts, where we said, okay, I'm not going to be who I am. I'm not going to come into my power and potential. That's fine. I don't want to create any problems. Supernovas, we're always willing to just say yes and make it all good for everybody, right? Mars square Pluto is like, so now, but with that, we also have Mercury at the end of degrees of Gemini, his home sign and coming out of that retrograde shadow. Now Mercury is getting up to speed. It takes Mercury a while to get back up to speed, but now Mercury is cruising again. And so we're feeling this forward motion. At the same time, we just had Neptune turn retrograde at the end of June, and we'll be having Jupiter turn retrograde at the end of July. So our bigger planets are like going, wait a minute, we're going to reevaluate this. But our personal planets are ready to run and begin to create action change based on this new reality, right? To actually build, not just ideas and vision, to really build, because Mars is moving over from Aries, huge empowerment in Aries, with Jupiter and with Chiron, and now coming into the square with Pluto. And then it's like, I think it'll feel a little bit like a sigh of relief, like a release of pressure as this transit comes off by Thursday. So just a huge desire, frustration, and what needs to be changed that hasn't been able to. And then Mercury square Neptune Mercury is in the same position at the end degrees of his home sign, but cruising again. In square to Neptune, though, Mercury-Neptune transits, especially the square, is like Mercury's our mind, our conceptual reality, and then Neptune's the bigger play and the delusions and illusions that keep us from finding clarity. And it can bring this feeling of like, I just can't figure out what's real. I can't figure out what I want. I can't figure out what's good or bad, or who's good or who's bad, or what's right, what's wrong, what am I going? So on the one hand, we got massive pressure for change, and this feeling like that timeline train is coming along and you got to get on it, but then there's this like, so massive shift as Mercury and Mars move from their home signs into the next sign over, feminine signs, Mars and Taurus. So Mars is our warrior action planet. Let's do it. Let's make some stuff happen. And Taurus is the physical. It's about form and function. It's about our earth. It's about just our relationship to earth and our relationship to the physical form, and therefore our relationship to resources and our worthiness for resources and having what we need. But Mars, after this activating time in Aries, is like, all right, let's build now. Let's create, let's take that vision and make it like get to work on the actual real world manifestations of this new reality and new timeline. Very exciting. And it could feel kind of like, all right, let's just get to work. Right now you're directed. You might find after these transits come off that you have a little bit of new direction, because the cool thing about these heavy, I mean, we got these heavy duty squares just wrecking our reality right now. But Mercury and Mars are in a sextile to each other as they shift into their next signs. And so it's a big shift of energy. And the sextile between Mercury and Mars, they'll stay in sextile as they move over. And so we'll be feeling that through this week. And so the sextile between Mercury and Mars is kind of like, Mars is like, trying to move and these structures won't let me, and I'm had enough. And but my back is against the wall. I don't even know how to begin to make these changes. Then Mercury square Neptune is like, I'm so confused. One minute I want this, one minute I want that, and what am I doing? So, but Mercury and Mars together in a sextile is like, it doesn't matter, girl. We got this, right? Like, this is gonna all work itself out. And maybe that's the message here. It's like, this can all work out. But there's one thing in the way, and that's us and our resistance and our fear and our anxiety and like being on the edge of this cliff. Excuse me, being asked to make this leap. And so Mercury sextile Mars at the end degrees of their home signs, but sextile is such a sweet energy. It's like, we can do this. We have the solution available. And the solution seems to be about using our head and our heart together as these planets move over to more feminine signs, opening up our strategy, but also and building and real world change and work, but in alignment with the intuitive part of ourselves. And it's very interesting energies. And so it's very powerful because Mercury now moving over to Cancer means that it's joining the sun. And Mercury and the sun haven't been together since before the retrograde, before Mercury's retrograde in January. And so Mercury is like catching up to the sun, and together they're taking turns making these transits. So right now we're just starting to feel the next square. We've got these squares coming off. The next square is the sun in Cancer in square to Chiron in Aries. And so this is about, it's kind of like we've had this overhaul of the structures of our life, pressure on our thoughts and beliefs. And then now sun square Chiron, this is who are we with our wounds? Who are we as wounded? Who are we as healed? And how are we going to get over this hump of claiming back our power and our life force? So that's a powerful energy, the sun in Cancer, because it's speaking to the sun in Cancer is about nurturing and about loving and mothering and feeling safe and at home. And Chiron in Aries is saying, and maybe this is where a lot of our dilemma falls. It's like, well, I'm really freaking scared right now because I'm activating and shit's getting weird, and it's making us cling on to the structures more that aren't not necessarily in alignment. And then it's almost like we're more entangled. So our fear and anxiety and that programming is kind of causing us to get entangled with this shift in reality and this disillusion of this, matrix reality. But it's very powerful because the sun and then Mercury are both going to take turns making this square with Chiron, and then a sextile with the Uranus in Taurus, and then a sextile with the North Node in Taurus. And so then Mercury and the sun come together on the 17th of July. Very powerful energy. So we're just starting to feel this now, and it's like a building of energy. And we've got Mars, or sun square Chiron, sextile Uranus, Mercury square Chiron, they're kind of like piggybacking as they get closer and closer. It's very dramatic energy. It continues the drama of 2020. I know we're still just reeling from this square Mars square Pluto. But this is very activating and empowering, because as the sun and Mercury makes a square with Chiron, sextile with the Uranus and the North Node, it's starting to link together the energies of Uranus and the North Node. They're starting to come closer and closer. So we're having a buildup of energy throughout the whole month of July. And as these transits play out between the sun and Mercury, it's kind of like ching, ching, ching. And maybe that's actually what we're looking for, because the Uranus and the North Node together is this massive activation of this timeline, because the North Node is how are we going to get to where we're going and the way forward. And Uranus is activation and the ruler of Aquarius. So it's like time to get in the energy, right? Time to walk the talk, time to receive these energies on a physical level in our body, on a cellular level, and allow and get out of the way and allow these changes to occur, allow this timeline to land. It's a massive activation. So Mercury and the sun taking turns in these planets is kind of, it looks to me like we've got this, okay, so we've got this reality. We've been kind of stuck in this wheel on this timeline, and we can get a glimpse of something different, but we haven't been able to really get out of it. And then here's this magic energy kind of trying to weave back in our divine timeline. And that's maybe where we're feeling like, oh, there it is, I gotta go. Oh, no, I'm gonna miss it. That anxiety energy of Aries. But this Sun and Mercury making these transits and then coming together, kind of joining together. It's like a whole ceremonial experience around Uranus and the North Node. And it's like, it looks to me like it's like we've got these two realities, where we're going and where we've been stuck. And you could see it like timelines or whatever. And that there's this chink, it's like catching. And but almost like, it's like the wheel has been slipping, and then it's starting to catch and starting to start, that jump start energy. And it's like each click is also an adjustment of this timeline, and or an opportunity to get closer to this timeline. It's like helping us make the leap. And it looks to me like a big, like a watch, like the insides of a watch, and how it all needs to kind of line up and go together. And it's slipping, right? But it's coming back around. It's slipping because it hasn't, like, I don't know, we're in this big quandary because our timelines have been so screwed up. And then there's this other timeline running, the divine timeline. But how do we get there? Because it's so far away. And so the picture is, it's jagged and it's coming and going, and it's a big leap, and we don't know what in the heck we're doing, but it is time to make our way over there. So July, you could see this massively activating of these chinks and getting it all kind of to line up so we can get that motor running again, the jumpstart of this new timeline. And so maybe that's part of the deal, where as we are in this wild, crazy ride, supernova souls are being asked to, when you see that timeline coming, jump on, make that leap. But then what's required? There's always going to be something required to let go of. And then we're stuck in midair, free fall, and that's kind of the deal. It's like, it's going to take some rearranging, some navigating, some leaping, and some free fall. And then, if you're okay with that, then let's go. No problem, right? So very powerful. And we're starting to feel the sun square Chiron, which is going to start this whole next chapter of astrology, the chinking, like inching up the vibration and, the alignment and all that. That's going to start, that's exact sun square Chiron on the 9th. And so this next weekend, and we'll feel that, though, we start to feel that midweek this week. So it's kind of like there's this one chapter, just this astrology story, one chapter is completing. We're coming off of this like, wow, Mars square Pluto, Mercury square Neptune, and in sextile to each other, jimmying the lock on this reality, And so then we're going to move into that next thing where it's just like the pressure, it's like up your game. And I feel like we're probably going to see some corresponding energetic upgrades planetarily in the Schumann resonance or whatever. So definitely a time, especially with Mars moving into Taurus, because Taurus is the physical body and Mars rules also the physical body. And so it's very, very important that we support our physical body in these changes. I'm sure you're feeling it. Are you feeling it? And it's really strange. I've talked about this, but when you're going through it, but the people around you aren't, it's very strange, But you think about where you're going and where you're resonating, and like where you're going and where you're resonating. There's only so many people there, and you're going to find each other. You can't help it. It's a magnetic pull. And what's been happening with supernova souls up to this point is it's like our magnet has been reversed. So we're repelling each other, because we have all these contracts about keeping each other safe and not putting our tribe in danger. And we've agreed contractually with galactic organizations not to come together and join our forces or come into our power. There's just so much that keeps supernova souls from being together. And this is all we really need to do. And no wonder, it makes sense. It's like, okay, all we really need to do is come together and reflect and help each other, because you can't interact with a supernova soul and not as a supernova soul and not have an experience, because you're recognizing them, and you can't recognize them without recognizing you, and they recognize you. And then you can't hide under that rock anymore. It's not going to work. But when you have each other, it's so much better and easier. And that's what's starting to happen, And maybe that's this wiggly timeline, squiggly. It looks like a just very curvy mountain road, and the way it has to hairpin turn back. And, then you've totally lost orientation of where you started and where you began. But the only way is up. And so here we are together. Thank you so much for being with me. And again, supernova souls, you're amazing. And we're doing it. And it's intense time though right now. It's been intense in the stagnant, depressing way, for a while. And this is a different type of intensity. So reach out in your psyche to those supernova souls. Go back to the replays of the activations of the soul group sessions. We're here together, and we're going up the ladder together, and nothing can stop it. And so it's beautiful and amazing, the possibilities that we carry, that we know are possible. And now we get to finally live in that energy, so maybe that's part of the shift. It's that energy of like those people around you who've been like naysayer, na, and it's like, you'll find out, and now in these karmic relationships that may have been holding us back, though, there's these loyalty energies. And this is really tricky right now, because this has been a huge part that's held supernova souls back in their mission and purpose and their evolution, is these karmic situations, especially lineage, family lineage, so this is coming up huge. And giving yourself permission to put your needs first as a supernova soul, to take care of you and your body, to be selfish. And that's the Mars square Pluto, right? It's like, if you're not happy, nobody around you can be happy. So stop doing what they want you to do to make them happy. It's very simple. And yet not that easy, right? Because we've had to appease and be the peacemakers to avoid drama and conflict again and again and again. And it's a life or death situation, right? So your whole pushover, doormat, sure, I'll just say yes energy, that's a life or death. That's programming that had to do with survival. And it's so, when it comes to survival, it's all entwined in your trauma, early childhood trauma programming and all that. And it's like, so the people pleasing becomes a survival mechanism. especially as we've all gone through these narcissistic relationships and troubled situations, as we try to claim back our permission to thrive and take the leap and activate and be who we really are and turn our light on. And it's just like, it's just going to be better for everybody. So it might hurt in the short run as you let people go, but it's going to be better for everyone with you shining, starting with you. And if you're not willing to do what you need and to make you happy, then you're never going to come into your path and purpose, and you're just going to be stuck. It's not possible because we're getting so activated. But, this is kind of the deal. It's like we are being asked to come out of that corner and out from under that rock and be brave together. We can do this. So I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad we found each other. And please share this with anybody else, any other supernova souls. There's a lot of supernova souls just starting to come online, had no idea what the heck is going on. And you've already been dealing with this and familiar with these concepts and what's happening. And so you can be there to support them. And this is a big part of what the supernova dream is this co-creation, this business networking, the support for this activated life and this activated experience of what it is we're really here to do, and to support each other in coming into this true potential. So we're doing it, supernova souls, and there's growing pains. Keep breathing, keep loving, keep letting the tears fall, and letting those emotions move. They've been stuck for way too long, and it's keeping you stuck there with them. And a lot of times it's other people you feel like you're letting down. But if you come into that light and power, you're not letting anybody down. It's not possible. So much love to you, supernova souls. I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update. Keep in mind, we've got a full moon in Capricorn coming up on the 13th, Wednesday, July 13th. And that's at 21 degrees Capricorn, 21 minutes. Very powerful. 2 and 1 is 3. It's about exactly what we're talking about. Coming together, working together to activate, to create more than the parts. It's exponential empowerment and supernova superpowers. So no wonder we're a little scared of that shit. But a beautiful chapter lies ahead for us. So thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.